Today on CityCast DC. Now that August is here, you may be feeling the stress of trying to wrap up that summer bucket list. So we're here today to help you check off that weekend camping trip that you've been telling everybody that you want to do but haven't actually planned yet. Whether you're an experienced outdoorswoman like myself or just testing out the waters with a little bit of car camping, this episode's got something for everyone. Let's revisit my conversation with Leo Murray, founder of Kibiboyz and leader of Concrete Escapes from last fall. Leo has been breaking down barriers around camping and helping DMV city folks reconnect with nature one campfire at a time. Oh, and after our chat, stick around. Our CEO, David Plotz, is chatting with DC Public Library Executive Director Richard Reyes Gavilan about how the DC Public Library is celebrating America's 250th birthday. Today is Monday, August 10th. I'm Bridget Todd, and here's what DC is talking about. Leo, thank you for being here. I guess we should just jump right in. What is Kibiboyz?
Hey, how you doing? Kibiboyz is a community that I created about a year ago now. The whole goal is to get more of us, i.e. people of color, camping, get us more outside or have us interact with the outdoors, but via camping. So I know a lot of people post-pandemic, they went hiking, they started running, they started snowboarding, skiing, but I didn't see many people camping as much. I went camping for the first time in 2022, and it kind of altered my brain. I didn't know I enjoyed being outside that much, but yeah, that's what Kibiboyz is.
Do you remember your first camping, like where you went, your first camping experience?
Yes. So I was in Lake George, which is upstate New York. It's about 6.5 hours away, 7 hours away. I have a buddy of mine. He is from that area. I believe that's Albany. And we rented a boat, and him and his brother brought their jet skis, and we camped on the lake for about 3 days. And all of that was a first for me. Being on a lake, like camping with a boat, that was a first for me.
I love that area. I've never been camping up there, but I have been on a hiking trip in the Lake George area. It is gorgeous.
It's amazing.
One Black outdoors aficionado or enthusiast to another, it is true. I do think, I'm a longtime outdoor person. I always describe myself as an outdoor cat, I guess I would describe myself as. But it's true. I do think that when people find out that I enjoy hiking, camping, anything outside, really, that is, sometimes people are taken aback. Why do you think that is?
I know exactly what it is. And I'm speaking like as a Black man who has grown up with all of us. The number one thing I hear is, oh, like, it's what white people do. Or, oh, like, I'm scared of bears, or I don't want to be outside. It's a weird stigma that we have where we look down on people who want to explore other things and don't do things traditionally. And that's really what Kibiboyz is breaking that mold and changing people's minds to have them come outside. And it's worked on a few people, but it takes a lot more energy and persuading for majority of people. But yeah, I'm sure that's why a lot of people are kind of hesitant to be outdoors. It's like, why do I want to be outside when I have a home? It's like when I went skydiving and I tell people, I've been skydiving, they're like, well, why the hell would you jump out of a perfectly good plane? So it's one of those things.
I definitely get that. I have friends who say like, oh yeah, why would I want to live outside if I have a perfectly nice apartment? And I always say, you might have a lovely apartment, but your ceiling cannot compare with the stars, my friend. There's stuff outside that you simply could not recreate in your home.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the kind of camping that we have in our backyard here in the DMV area. What do you love about camping around here?
So the spot that me and my comrades have kind of deemed home for us when it comes to camping is Green Ridge State Park. That's about an hour and a half, 2 hours outside of DC. It is it's maybe like 30 to 40 minutes past Hagerstown. That's our favorite spot. That's our go-to spot. It's extremely beautiful there. It's almost like dispersed camping. You can backpack camp there or hike backpack camp there as well, which we will be getting more into backpack camping. But for right now, I think we're just sticking with the car camping just to get just so people are more comfortable with camping. But there's Green Ridge, there's Shenandoah, there's a lot of places in VA. I think maybe 2.5 hours out, another beautiful spot is Elkhorn Lake. That was actually the first Kibiboyz camp trip, and it was extremely beautiful down there. There's a campground in Greenbelt, which you can take the metro there. You could go to Fletcher's Cove, or you can go to the C&O Canal. You can take a bicycle there. There's a lot of places where you can camp nearby.
So for folks who don't know, tell us the difference between car camping and then I guess what you might call backpacking, the kind of camping where you're driving in maybe and then doing a little bit of a hike and you're kind of far from where your car is.
Yes. So car camping, you have all of your gear in the car. It's exactly what it sounds like. You drive into your campground or your campsite and you kind of just park your car right there. Your car is within like less than 10 feet to 20 feet of where your tent is. You know, it's a lot more safer for families and new campers. That's what we do. We drive into our campsite, unload the truck, set up our tents, set up our tarps and our entire campsite, and the car's right there. Now, with backpacking, like you stated, you drive your car to wherever you're going to go. So, for instance, let's use Green Ridge as an example. I would drive my car at this point in Green Ridge, and then they actually do have proper dispersed camping in Green Ridge, and I believe it's a 6 mile hike, if I'm not mistaken. And then you would hike 6 miles to a campsite. There's an area within the forest that there's a bunch of different campsites, and it's first come, first serve.
I got my start with car camping when I was first getting into camping. And it was a good way to start because you don't have to pack as light because you're not toting everything on your back. It was definitely a good place to start if you are sort of with somebody or are somebody who is not so sure about camping. I think car camping is a great way to start out. But
It is.
once you perfect it, I do think I have had some of my best experiences hiking out a little bit because I don't know, it forces you to think a little bit more practically and pack a little bit more light, which kind of becomes a little bit of a challenge in and of itself that I find kind of
Mm-hmm.
enjoyable about camping. But also I do think you can get more wilderness, right? So I guess it depends on
Yes.
what kind of experience you're looking for out there. But if you are wanting it's going to be me, the stars, really nobody really around other than the people that I'm with, I think you do have to sort of get a little comfortable with hiking out a little bit.
Yes. There was a key word you said there, wilderness, right? So how I see backpacking versus camping, have you ever left your phone at home by accident, or have you ever like had to go a week without a phone because it was broken?
Oh, yes.
And don't you feel so much better when you're not like connected to your phone for a certain amount of time? And like you actually can't have a phone. You have to figure out how to ride the bus or figure out how to get to your destinations without GPS, without anything. It's like dumbing everything back down to the bare necessities. That's what backpacking is. And it's like, what do I need to survive and to be, comfortable, because you can spend buku bucks on like a $300 Nemo sleeping pad. I mean, there's camping is expensive. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a second as well. But yeah, backpacking is breaking everything down to the bare necessity and being as light as possible and just moving on whim, going wherever you want to go. And like, it's proper exploration versus car camping. You know, your car's right there. It's the only way to start. Truly the best way to get your foot in the door when it comes to camping.
Here is something from our sponsors at the DC Department of Behavioral Health. DC is turning a corner, and the numbers back it up. Fatal opioid overdoses dropped 33% in this city from 2023 to 2024. That's not just data, that's real people, real families, still together. But the work isn't done, and neither are we. If you or someone you love is struggling, help is closer than you think. Text LiveLongDC to 888-811 to connect with treatment, housing, and recovery support right here in the district. Free Narcan is available at nearly 40 locations across DC because nobody should lose someone for lack of access. And if you're in crisis right now, call or text 988. Know your worth, know your alternatives, know your value, know yourself. Recovery is possible. Find out how at knowyourpathdc.com.
Let's talk about the DC SCU, your friendly neighborhood sustainable energy utility. 15 years and they're still here. Talk about eyes on the prize. Their mission possible. Serving residents with efficiency and clean energy programs, improving affordability and quality of life across all 8 wards. They've delivered $2.2 billion in lifetime savings for district residents and businesses alike. They've prevented 10.1 million metric tons of emissions right here. These are your neighbors working for you. And it makes sense that they're in Southeast by the ballpark because they are knocking it out of the park daily. There is no ivory tower. They're on the sidewalks, out on the streets, and they're at your door, making it happen more capable, more committed than ever. Doing right by you and you and you. I see you standing up. That's right, clap your hands because DC SCU is 15 and still redefining power in the district. Find out more at dcscu.com. You know, you touched on something that I know a thing or two about myself, which is that it can get expensive. Once you start looking at gear, the next thing you know, you're like, well, we should get a storage unit to really account for all this gear. What do you think of as absolutely necessary to have a good trip?
Okay, so to absolutely have a good trip with us, the bare necessities, which would be tent, sleeping pad, sleeping bag, for sure, off rent. The thing with camping is like you get what you pay for. And of course you would need, I always say, bring some kind of cup, you know, maybe some titanium silverware. You're going to need your food. Get yourself a jet boil. And I said jet boil because I'm thinking backpacking. So that's one thing like that I kind of like teeter back and forth because as I'm buying more gear, my mind is already going towards the backpacking route.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, bring a jet boil, but we don't even use a jet boil. We use actually a Snow Peak Takibi grill, which is about 30 pounds.
Oh, wow.
It's a beautiful grill. We stand by it. That's actually where the name Kibiboyz comes from, is from the Takibi grill. We just dropped the ta. Because the Snow Peak's idea of reason for calling Takibi, or what Takibi means in Japanese, is like gathering around the fire. So for us, we're building a community around camping, but we also just love the Takibi grill because it's a fire pit and it's a grill. So we have like 3 of those that we take with us every camp trip because we're car camping. Now, if we're backpacking, that thing is not coming with us at all.
Let me ask you this. Are there any sleeper items that you think would really improve the camping experience that people might not be thinking? Because I definitely have one, and I want to see if you have any.
Let me hear yours.
Here is mine. This is going to sound wild, but stay with me. If you are camping and you're sleeping overnight, bring a small unbreakable bowl that what will serve as your kind of nightstand. So, I take off my watch at night. Where's it going to go? In the bowl. My headlamp, I want it to be close to me. Where's it going to go? In the bowl.
In the
The
bowl.
things that you would have on your nightstand when you go to sleep in your apartment, bring a small to medium-sized bowl that you will put those items in. And trust me, it's a game changer. It might not sound like much, but you don't want that stuff kicking around with no home in your tent.
Exactly. It's easy to lose your stuff in your tent.
You don't want there to be an emergency and you're thinking,
Exactly.
where's my whatever fill in the blank? That thing has to have a home where you know exactly where it is if you need it. If you need it quick, there it is.
The one time there's a bear, right? And you don't have and you don't have your bowl, you're cooked.
Exactly.
You're cooked entirely.
Let me ask you this. How many people do you think is the ideal number of people for a camping trip?
Okay. So we just started our endeavors earlier this year in the sense of actually building the community. So it's really only been 4 to 5 of us camping at a given time. But this past 2 weekends ago, we took some people from New York and we took some people from Philly and we camped at Hickory Run State Park, which is in Pennsylvania. And there was about 9 of us. And that was super manageable. The perfect amount, if you're starting out, one, to feel safe and comfortable, I would say 4 to 5 people is a solid number to go with if you're starting out. But I mean, our goal, honestly, my goal is to have as many people as I can to have come camp with us to share that experience, because the outdoors, you can't gatekeep the outside. But the perfect amount, honestly, I would say would be around that 4 to 5 range. You got to think about food. We're pulling in for food and we're eating really good. No meals are missed when we're camping. How about you? What do you think a good number is?
4 to 5, I think, is a good sweet spot. I think 5 is the most I've ever camped with. And I do think that once you start to get a little more than that, just a lot of different personalities and variables to keep track of when you're out there, which can be a lot. And to your point about the eating, when I was young, before I had ever gone camping, I thought that when you went camping, you had to eat beans out of a can. I thought that was the only item
Rorschach
yes.
from Watchmen?
Yes. I was like, the only meal that can be consumed while camping is beans from a can. But genuinely, I feel food tastes better outside when you have to kind of be intentional about what you've brought, how you use it, what you're going to make out of it. I don't know. It just brings out a certain creativity in me that I just love. I love mealtime by a campfire.
We always joke because we can cook, but God damn, are we not Gordon Ramsay outside? The type of meals we cook, I love to grill. I do enjoy cooking, but I do not cook like that when I'm at home.
It just opens something up creatively.
Yeah, because you're outside and your brain is just, and you're sitting in your home all the time if you're working from home, or if you, you go to work and you come home and you're not feeling it. I'm gonna order pizza, but being outside, we cook some damn good meal. When we camped in the Catskills in the end of June, the homie Dom, he is our outdoor specialist is what we call him. He's been in the outdoor space for about 35 years. He teaches us everything that we know. Great guy. But he made oxtail.
Wow.
Nobody's really making oxtail in their home unless your grandma's making it. You know what I mean? When we camped 2 weeks ago, we did a whole red snapper, a massive red snapper. We cooked steak. We've done honey beef bacon. It's just, like you said, that creativity just flows. And it's really not having that many options of the ingredients and then of the seasonings and everything else. It's vegetables, protein. That's it. What do we need? But of course, as you get more into backpacking, that level of food creativity kind of dies down because you can't carry a massive grill with you, or it's best to stay as light as possible. And I can't have 3 New York strips in my backpack.
Exactly.
There's no room for that.
Okay, well, you alluded to this a little bit earlier. The weather is turning. What are your thoughts on camping in colder temperatures? How cold is too cold to camp for you, and what do you think people should try it?
So I haven't camped in the cold yet, but I do have my gear. I have already started buying the gear for the cold, i.e. sleeping bag, which is like super important. I think I have like a 20-degree bag, clothing and all of that. This year we're going to camp, but I think you should camp in any weather.
They have a saying in Norway, there is no bad weather, just bad clothing. And I do believe, the latest I have gone camping is mid-November. It got pretty cold, but it wasn't that bad during the day.
Where was it?
Virginia. So again, it doesn't get super, super cold there. It wasn't snowing or anything. But, as long as you're well prepared, have good sleeping bags, things like that. I also have because I can be a little bit of a baby about the cold, I have a Big Buddy space heater. It's like a portable space heater that works on those little butane canisters. So that is the best investment. It was my Christmas present to myself, and it was the best investment I've ever made. Every patio is a heated patio. There is no place outdoors that I could go that I could not heat myself if I wanted. I think the CityCast team and I were doing a Christmas market where we had to be outside in December, and it was very wet and cold. And I thought, I should have brought my space heater. Look into it. I am a huge fan. It can be a year-round activity if you're prepped enough, if you have the right gear, the right sleeping bags.
It's all about preparation and state of mind. Once again, that's what Kibiboyz is for. It's let's reclaim the outdoors. It's where our ancestors came from. They did that. That space is for everyone. Literally, it's for everyone. You have to go out there outside every day. The woods is for us just like it is for them.
Yeah. As a Black woman, my kind of model outdoors woman is Harriet Tubman, because when you look at how she was able to do her thing, knowing a lot about the outdoors, knowing how to traverse and stay alive and comfortable and undetected outdoors was a big part of how she was able to do her thing. And so
OG backpacker.
Yeah, this is part of our legacy. I mean, this is going to sound so silly, but when I was a little kid, I grew up in the South, and I had the kind of parents who were like, oh, little girls should not be outside getting dirty, whatever. The weekends would come, and my dad would take my brother and his friends out to the river, out camping, out hiking, and they would come back dirty, filthy, high-fiving, having had the best time. And my brother would say, Bridget, what did you do all Saturday? And I would say, oh, we were at the hair salon for 17 hours. And that's what we did. And now that I'm an adult, I can reclaim these spaces that we have been told are not for us for whatever reason. And it's just so important.
100%. They say you need at least 3 days outside to properly reset and recalibrate your body and your mind frame. That's why Friday to Sunday is perfect.
Outdoor cats unite.
Outdoor cats. There you go.
Thank you for being here, and I will see you outside.
Yeah, for sure.
And y'all, don't go anywhere, because our CEO, David Plotz, is chatting with DC Public Library Executive Director Richard Reyes-Gavilan about how the DC Public Library is celebrating America's 250th birthday. So stick around.
Hi, it's CityCast CEO David Plotz. I am here with Richard Reyes-Gavilan, the Executive Director of the DC Public Library. Richard, welcome to CityCast DC. Hello, it is good to see you again, old friend also.
Good to see you, David. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
So it's the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, and DC is marking that anniversary with an exhibition. What is District Vibes, American Pride? What is the central argument you're making in that exhibit?
District Vibes is a very sort of refreshing, fragmented, serendipitous take on many of the personalities and movements and events that make DC so special and underscore DC's outsized influence on American culture. It's a lot of fun. It is, for the most part, light and encyclopedic, takes place here at the MLK Library. And there's just tons and tons of morsels, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you about it.
But so who's featured? Who and what did they contribute? What delightful person is there?
Oh, man, there are so many delightful people. We are literally profiling, 75, 100 different people. Some of them are household names in D.C., Duke Ellington, Marvin Gaye, Chuck Brown.
My kid did not know Marvin Gaye was from D.C. That was a pleasure to tell him about that.
Well, that's a shame. And I guess this is why we have Marvin Gaye profiled in the exhibition. We actually have an old DC jukebox where you or kids or anybody could come and you can press the button and you can get the song that you want on a CD, including, What's Going On from Marvin Gaye, which is widely considered one of the maybe 5 best albums of the 20th century. For example, we've got Van McCoy. Do you know Van McCoy?
Nope.
He was a big-time record producer. He wrote the song The Hustle.
Oh, I always knew it had a DC tie. I didn't know that was why.
We profile people in the arts like Gene Davis, who is one of the founders of the Washington Color School. We've got a great Gene Davis study on display. Alma Thomas, who is one of the preeminent American artists of the 20th century. So stuff like that. It's all over the place. Paul Hubbard, he was the inventor of the football huddle. You might say, how is a football huddle invented?
I know why. Gallaudet.
That's exactly right. Gallaudet University. These guys were getting all their signals stolen because they were signing their signals. And they said, hey, why don't we get into a circle? And that was the birth of what we know as the football huddle.
So District Vibes is not just downtown at the MLK. So it's getting out into the neighborhoods. How are you getting it out into all 8 wards of the city?
It is important for us to always remember that not everyone goes downtown or goes downtown very often. So we've got little satellite exhibitions in one library in every ward of the city, Anacostia and Benning in wards 8 and 7, Lamont Riggs, the Chevy Chase Library, Mount Pleasant Library, the Southwest Library in Ward 6, and the Woodridge Library in Ward 5. It's kind of an amuse-bouche sort of satellite exhibition. You'll see some images, you'll see some text, but for this one, I will say it is absolutely worth it to come down to the MLK Library and experience this exhibition in its entirety.
So you have District Vibes in the library, in the main library, and in all these other libraries. What other programming do you have planned this summer for people who want to engage with District Vibes in some other way?
One of the panels in the exhibition, and I know that you're an avid bicyclist, so you would appreciate this. We talk about the evolution of urban bicycling in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. was integral to urban bicycling. The city paved 157 miles of dirt roads back in the mid-1800s to facilitate bicycle use. You know, the penny farthing, the large wheel bicycle from the 1850s. When that moved to the more traditional safety bicycle, there were 2 men in Washington, D.C. who adapted that bicycle for women, taking into consideration women wearing long dresses. The first women's bicycle club and the first women bikers were here in Washington, D.C. We actually have one of those crazy penny farthings on display at the library. And I cannot believe people could actually get on those things. I mean, the seat is like 6 or 8 feet off the ground. I mean, it's crazy.
Richard, tell me about this vintage car show and Pinewood Derby race that's happening on Saturday, August 15th.
We've got a vintage car show here under the loggia outside the library. So we're working with some of the local car clubs to bring some restored cars here. And we're also going to have a Pinewood Derby race on the same day. So that Saturday, people are going to be able to build their own wooden racers, and they're going to be able to send them along G Street here at the library, which is pretty cool. The biggest program that we will put on, that we've actually been putting on for a few years, but it works very perfectly with the District Vibes exhibition, is Art All Night. And you've probably been to Art All Night, David, where we will close down the entirety of G Street, and we will have a whole host of bands and vendors, and probably about 10,000 people will come and interact with live music. And that's what we would consider sort of a bookend to the exhibition, which closes officially on September 27th.
Richard Reyes-Gavilan, thank you so much for being here.
I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
District Vibes American Pride is open now at the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library and at satellite locations across all 8 wards. Also, just a heads up that the Vintage Car Show and Pinewood Derby race that Richard mentioned is on Saturday, August 15th. For more information and the full lineup, head to dclibrary.org. Thanks for listening to CityCast DC.
today here on CityCast DC. If you enjoyed the show, tell your camping buddy. You can rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with even more news from around the city. Talk to you soon.